We start in 2, in a 3, 2, 1, and go. We have a very interesting matchup. I have the Goth, or we have the Goth on Arabia with Xylfit against the Huns for King Mike. Talking about that Goth choice by Xylfit, what do you think of it?
I'm pretty sure Xylfit will just try his way up to Castle or Imperial Age, because that's where the Goth shine in late game. Huns, they are pretty good civilization in Feudal Age or Castle Age, but in post-Imperial Age, they can't face the Goth. No way for them. So I'm pretty sure Xylfit will just try to survive as long as he can, and then when he's in Castle Age or in Imperial Age, he will go and push the units out of his.
Oh, I think so too, because there's also another interesting thing. You never know what's coming. So, like you're assuming, for example, Xylfit goes Koreans, and you think, oh no, this guy is going for some Master Pizza crab tower stuff, you know?
Yes.
And then he turtles and comes with like Siege Onager helps or something like that. So you never know. He has a plan, and but it's usually like not this, okay, he goes Britons, you can be sure he goes Archers. And that's actually, the unpredictability is something that is really to be pointed out. But also, King Mike being very unpredictable because we just don't know him very well. And for example, when I play against certain people, I know their playstyle, I know what they are probably going for, and that actually is already half the rent in. It is like Viper playing recently against Tato, and he was saying, you know, I'm countering him blind because I just know what he's going for. Candy Flinas, thanks for the follow, man. Welcome to the stream indeed. We are at 32 followers, guys, and if we should get in this weekend to 50 followers, that would be great. Then we are actually already being affiliated and hunting the survivalist. Well, hunting him very slowly, but, you know. Update the stream title. Yes. Mod, can you please update the stream title so that the stream title actually reflects that Xylfit is playing against King Mike 101.
Okay, so I can't ignore the gold any longer. Xylfit's goals 3.
Yeah.
All his 3 main goals are to King Mike with 4 tiles or 5 tiles.
Exactly.
From each other. And King Mike, all the gold is in his back, or his main gold is very close to his town center.
Exactly.
So he's clearly that advantage there. It will be so hard for Xylfit to wall that.
I can't stress this point enough. Like, the Hun player is open in the front, but this gold position is one of the worst I've ever seen. Imagine a castle on that hill there. It's threatening 2 golds already, and from there, the Cav archers are threatening the 3rd gold. And yes, for the Goth player, space and food is super important, but you cannot live without the gold. So, this is really something that probably Xylfit maybe broke 1 or 2 sweats also about it, because you don't know how aggressive King Mike is going to be. King Mike being with the scout build order, it seems at the moment, with having 3 on wood, having a map that is fairly nice to wall. He could chunk himself out a big portion of the map, even having a pond there if he wants to go for some fish pond shenanigans, Master Pizza Viper style. But despite of that, Xylfit going with the 4 people on wood, being 1 villager behind already. He has gone for Loom, and King Mike, as he didn't go for Loom, being greedy here for the Feudal Age, expecting that he is early up than the Goth player, really wanting the aggression out in time to not let the Goth player boom as the Goth player wants to boom, and having a lot of people on berries already, probably for my taste a little bit too much there.
So Xylfit is already walling his base off.
Yes, and
Just-
having
just
a
another
lot of
hit from
idols
Fast Castle.
there. Having a lot of idols running out of food. And having the same problem there that looks a little bit lost, honestly, to what to do in this situation and how to wall in the situation. Actually, having the barracks up, having wall to the left side, to trying to like tighten his eco, tighten the entrances into his base already. And I don't know whether I'm a big fan of this wall, which leaves him exposed on the northern part of his base, that diagonal wall between the two woodlines. I don't know whether I'm a big fan of that. But usually Xylfit knows his way around walling, so I'm not so fast with criticizing that too much. And being a bit strange there with, like, either it's hyper efficient with actually hunting with one villager to just get like those 30 food that you will take and not make the way without any resources, or it is a misclick. I can't really judge yet. So we have the stable coming up from King Mike going into the scout builds and facing and already having discovered that his enemy comes in with some brush shenanigans and probably has to defend it, but against those few men-at-arms, he loses a villager there against the scout and 1 man-at-arms. That probably didn't need to happen and hurts really a lot. But the 2 scouts being able to deal with the men-at-arms in the end, and having killed 2 men-at-arms and 1 scout and having lost 1 scout and 1 villager, I'm pretty sure that Xylfit is happy with the trade-off. And now it comes to the question, can King Mike do the counter damage? And if I look at Xylfit's base, it is fairly walled. He just has to wall the front of his base, and then actually he is alright. When I look at the will counts, they are fairly close to each other. And I see Xylfit idling his TC there at the moment a little bit. So I don't know whether it's nerves, but there are some minor stuff is showing. For example, also the combination of 1 man-at-arms, 1 spearman, and 1 archer strolling happily over the map and just, you know, having a walk, being a bit an interesting army composition. I think the 3 men-at-arms maybe could have done a little bit more without sending them in one by one. And here you see that the scout aggression being walled off here by Mr. Xylfit just in time so that he prevented 4 scouts into his base. And King Mike trying his best to get inside, and I think he reacts correctly with adding the archery range and knowing without archers I will never get through those walls, so I need the archers to actually get in there and do some damage before I allow the enemy Goth player to actually get up and to his boom. I don't agree necessarily with the villager distribution there, and I don't know whether I agree with going so heavily into the 2 archery ranges. I think it might be maybe a little bit too much there, because like you just need to do some damage. You just need to draw out the game. So it's an interesting decision making to go 2 archery ranges and going like full feudal aggression. And it is being countered by a 2nd barracks and 1 archery range by Mr. Xylfit, who defends also the long south and palisade wall of his base with just a house against the scout doinking into his palisade walls. And there was a short bell ringing there. Maybe not the best reaction right there. It was King Mike, wasn't it? But in the end didn't do too much damage, I think. I'm just panicking a little bit and showing some nerves regarding the tournament. I think the the Huns, if you are a little bit nervous about the tournament, is not the worst civ to go for. Actually, it's a fairly good civ to go for, because just saving yourself the urgency to constantly think of the houses can be something that releases you of some pressure. So I agree, if you are comfortable with the Huns, if you just don't want this to go on. No, if you just don't want to think constantly with the houses or at the houses, you go with the Huns. What do you think of the current situation of the game, Stargard?
Xylfit is actually exactly doing what I was expecting him to do. He's not going for that much military, he just double walls himself everywhere and try to boom up. Actually, let's compare the village amount. Xylfit is 2 villages ahead at the moment.
Just went 2 villages ahead. Yeah.
The better economy here and will be the first one going to Castle Age. I'm pretty sure about it.
Yeah, he just invested less into... but if you compare the resources, then he is overdoing it on wood when he wants to go earlier into the Castle Age. And it's actually fairly comparable. And I would say that the Hun player is at the moment actually on his way faster up to the Castle Age than the Goth player. And what I don't agree with is those archers. If he has them in front there, right next to the palisade wall, he can get in there and do so much damage. So King Mike there, being a bit too passive in my opinion. If you go 2 archery ranges and you have the scouts and you see there is not much response coming, you need to see what the enemy has, because the investment into military has to pay off. So you need to do eco damage, because this is actually, if Xylfit plays it correctly, those are just resources that actually didn't really go into the account. And King Mike being the first with 35% already into the Castle Age. Hey, the Genie. This is the quarterfinals tournament, pre-recorded games to make sure that everyone is on time, and we cast those. But tomorrow and Sunday will be live, the semifinals and the finals of this tournament going on. So if you want to catch up there, that will be great. We are at the moment at an Arabia game. This is the first one of the best of 3, and we have 2 home maps, which I don't even know which they chose. So he has a formidable army right there, keeps the archers safe. I still think he could have done a lot more damage there in this moment. But he has 17 archers and he is 80% ahead basically onto Castle Age. So this is his time to shine. He has there like 2 minutes where he reigns superior on the complete map. And the moment he takes him off gold, the moment he maybe places a tower there, even as the Huns, he is actually reigning good. But he doesn't have stone anymore. I think he sold the stone to actually get up that early. And now he bought the stone. So this is an expensive undertake by Mr. King Mike. And I don't know why he bought the stone, because he doesn't have actually the wood to make a TC right now. So that was maybe a little bit premature. The crossbow tech coming in. The first defense upgrade coming in. I don't agree with the defense upgrade. I would agree with actually if he would have gone the attack upgrade far more. The market coming in, but the market won't protect you if the crossbows come in right there, and the crossbow is about to come in. And how much will Xylfit lose there? The gate is falling, the gate is crumbling, and now the crossbows have the +1 range and will be able to do damage. And Xylfit losing the first villager, losing maybe the second villager. Yes, he does. And now actually breaking this palisade wall, and archers can come in, and the Castle Age of Xylfit does get, but he has so many resources. He can go immediately TCs and protect his economy right there, but he is taken off the gold. And if King Mike decides to stay there, then there is no gold that Xylfit actually can take. See you later, therefore. GG, well played again. And in the back comes up and he runs under the TC. I don't agree with that. Oh, look at this. This was a genius move. Mr. Xylfit showing his cheekiness, showing his turtle capabilities with actually dividing the scouts and archers here by deleting the farm, setting a blacksmith up there so the archers can't get through there. The eco damage is limited. He still is denied the full amount of gold, but he cannot get in there. He would have to go around, and you see, this is now really tight. He could go around and try with some archers to deny him the wood line there and to get maybe the way in there. But this base is super tight. Like, this is just a pipe, a tiny little pipe that goes all in the back. So this is what Xylfit can do. He thinks about the base layout like no one else in this community that I know.
Wait, can you pause for a second?
Yes.
I think I might have a wrong replay. The replay stopped at 25 minutes and 8 seconds for me.
I'm at 25:40 and we are playing in Arabia.
Yeah, we have the exact same matchup. But for me, it was replay finished.
Oh, that's a bug.
at
I think that's a
25
bug.
minutes.
That's a bug. Okay,
Xylfit
like
just wrote me on Discord that there were 2 files and I took the wrong one.
you maybe took the wrong one. Okay. You can either decide to cast through the stream, or you can decide to restart the game and just catch up. I continue, okay?
Do that.
Perfect. Okay, so this is now a point where I'm like, okay, Xylfit has just produced 1 mangonel and he goes for second TC. And this is Xylfit, right? Xylfit says, you know what? I have like 20 crossbows in front of my base. I have 3 knights around it. I'm fine, I can do this. I'm fine, I go for monastery. This is going to be okay. I'm just going for 1 or 2 monks and some mangonels. I'm fine, you know? Like, I have no gold, but why not go monks and mangonels, right? And for me, this is such an interesting choice. Like, he has 0 on gold. Absolutely 0. So he needs to make sure that those knights can't come in. And he destroys 1 knight, but also the palisade wall of that. And this knight here can easily take the mangonel. If the mangonel is taken, all the crossbows can stream in, and they can stream in back here, and they can deny both wood lines, they can deny the gold. And the only thing I really don't like here is that King Mike actually stopped going for crossbows. And if he just sends some crossbows or some cav archers here, he's denied the wood, he's denied the wood here, he's denied the wood here, he's denied the wood here, and he's denied this gold. So this, like, Xylfit is a really solid player when it comes to cockroaching, but this, like, it is really on a knife's edge here. And I envy the seemed calmness of Xylfit, but I don't know how stressed he maybe was. So the crossbows are through here. Xylfit knows this woodline is gone. This woodline is gone, but I have a TC here, and I just can chop like at this part here. Even the stone is threatened, but he loses so much. And now being between a rock and a hard place here, the TC is losing all the advantage just with this TC and the mangonel here doing the fancy splits, but just having 4 crossbows that just won't cut it anymore against. Just won't cut it anymore against the mangonel and the TC. So those crossbows don't do anything anymore, just killing another villager. But if we compare, then we have Xylfit 35 against 48 villagers, so it paid off in the end. It paid off. Like, King Mike is still in the advantageous position despite the points. The points just tell because King Mike has lost more units and especially more valuable units. But in the end, Xylfit is definitely out of resources, and King Mike has a solid eco set up for cavalry archer production. And this now is crucial. This now is crucial. He needs the castle. And it is exactly the right composition. And this is why I think you should have kept your main army here and just strolled around and just kept a little bit of stinging him, because now he can secure his gold with the castle. And Xylfit, understanding the map, is also very cautious. One could have put already the castle even here on the hill, but he is cautious in thinking, I'm fine with actually having the 2nd gold, also with the 3rd town center, being here, securing this wood line, securing this gold line, and then having a lot of space in the back of his base. You just have the food eco, have the wood eco, and have the gold eco to be set up for success. On the other side, the Hun players going up with a lot of knights, getting the bloodlines upgrade, and having a constant free TC production. Also having already the food production to have a constant free TC production. whereas Xylfit just is on 11 farms and has to redo the food production to even be able to produce out of those 3 TCs in the same time. Guys, we nearly broke the 20 viewer record. Guys, awesome. Thank you very much for the continuous support. The lumber camp of King Mike here should be refreshed, but I think at the moment I would still favor King Mike's production here. He doesn't have to go for houses. He has double the military. He has quality military, and yes, the base of King Mike actually here of Xylfit is fairly protected, and he goes for the 4th town center. So greediness comes in, but if he would be active on the map and just goes for the constant production, I think he would be better up. And the only thing he actually has to do after this damage that he did to Xylfit is just boom up, get a better army, and in early Imperial with the traps, crush the enemy with the Cav Archer and cavalry production that the Huns just can take out. And also, maybe you want to run around, and maybe you want to pressure those with just one or two mangonels. Xylfit has no military at all. He has 1 mangonel, and that's basically it. I have to say, I don't see the rest of his military. Like, where is his military? They say he has military, but I just don't... I cannot spot it. So... yeah, he goes for turtling, and I'm not a big fan of this castle. I don't think this castle is protecting much. I don't understand why he puts the castle up, because I think what he needs is... he just has some... yeah, this is now Xylfit. He has some spearmen. They are not of much use for him. So he goes to spread around. And look at this. Look at this. He is spreading around. He wants to scout. Where are the extra resources? Where are the extra relics? This is something I really learned by Xylfit. And I learned it the hard way. Spread around. Go into every corner of the map. See what the enemy is up to. See where the relics are. See where the important parts of the maps are. Because even if you should get pushed, you always have the possibility to spread out on the map and to cockroach quite a bit. And what I don't like, if you see Stargard on the right side of King Mike's base, I am really not a big fan of the palisade walls that he put up on the right.
Secure the gold there
like
easily.
you can secure with 6 tile palisade wall, you can secure the wood. You'll probably do it later. It's not extremely big, but I also don't like that he doesn't refresh his lumber camp. Something like that you should do, because it just adds so much for efficiency right there that you probably gain again like 30 to 50% of your villages again. What I like though is that he adds a lot more production buildings. He has now 4 stables and he has 4 archer ranges, so I think he knows his army composition, and he decides cavalry archers and knights might be too expensive, so I'm going skirms and knights, just because I don't want to waste my gold completely at this one try army, because I expect the enemy to go a lot of helps because it's Goths. And he is up 40% faster with the Imperial Age, so now he should immediately start with the trap production to kill the enemy. But what I don't like also about King Mike, what you see, he doesn't know anything about what's going on into the base. So send something there and you know better what's going on. You see that this TC you could have taken down with just one mangonel and denied 2 goals already still. And just put a little bit of pressure, because you know, to let the Goth spam, to let the Goth boom, is probably never a good idea. Villager comparison, King Mike is still 10 villages ahead. But in comparison, 40 villages to 50 villages, obviously 100 villages to 110 villages is percentage-wise a much less difference. You don't like the skirm. I'm also not a big fan of the skirm choice here. I would have liked to seen to see the Cav Archer choice far more. Break in somewhere, really annoy. The Goth need their farms, and they cannot protect them all with town centers. So the light cav and the cavalry archer raids are really effective, and you have a mobility advantage that you just have to use. And I also would have liked to see the castle here to actually be able to protect my traps with some cavalier here. And if I see the Huns have just the 200 swordsmen, so it's hard for them. But what works well against the Goths here is at least siege onagers. So that could have been an addition that the Huns want to go for once the Goths start their spamming. So I like that he scouts around there with a scout cavalry, being able to get some informations about the depth of his base. But look, like, this is what Xylfit is doing, and if you don't scout this stuff, then he can freely take his resources. And you really want to scout against Xylfit a lot, and you see the points are increasing by a lot there. And Xylfit just caught up to villagers, and we are now 111 to 109 villages, and he will continue booming, I'm pretty sure, after a while. And King Mike does a mistake that I also tend to do. He stops booming once he reaches a peer age and goes full army, and should really just add 30 more villages to actually get to the point where he can spam his units a lot. Killing the castle with the free traps is a good thing, but he just doesn't have the unit composition to deal with those halberdiers now. And this is a fight I would never take. This is a fight that actually can make or break the game. I would always take that if I would observe his position. And yes, you kill the helps for a little bit, but you have the anarchy in, and you have the plus 50% barrack production rating in, and you just can spam those helps and you don't really care about their value, because as you have the economy for that, you can just spam them a lot, and you just have to kill this ball one time. And just some Huskars will deal easily with the skirms. You just need 5 and they will kill all the skirms as soon as you lost all your cavalry, which he just did. And that is absolutely devastating. I think it was a devastating fight for King Mike. Perfusion, 100% faster barracks. Thank you very much, Huka, dropping the knowledge here. Please correct me always when I'm wrong, noobcaster on the way. It's the first time I'm actually really casting a tournament here, so I love if you cut me some slack. Having lost 3 traps, having lost all the cavalry, I think this is the point that actually broke the game already into Xylfit's favor. So now the Hun being on the back foot, in my opinion. And if I see relic count, there's no relic for the Huns. But if I see there's already 1 relic for Xylfit, and he will just slowly but surely collect them. And, well, gold-wise, you see not just kills deaths, King Mike might be superior right now, but from the gold units and the gold value that he lost, I would give every time the advantage at the moment to Xylfit. And now the deadly combination of Huskar and Halberdier comes in. And he has a lot of Halberdier, which I like, and he needs to get more upgrades for those. He needs to get a chemistry, and there's now the ballistics also coming in. But I think the better decision here would have been to go onagers. You need onagers against the Goth spam. And you need to use your mobility. You need to send some army there to the gold. You need to send some army to the wood. And I think light cav probably might be the better decision. Despite, yes, the heavy cav is a good decision against the Huskars. You just always have this Huskar halberdier combination. And in my opinion, you can never trade really effectively. To just soften them a little bit, onagers is paramount. And now Xylfit does what he really does also well. He has now the second castle in the place that I would have always guessed is the ideal place for the castle. And now he goes around and threatening the enemy with his Huskars, with his halberdiers. The Huskars not being elite, not having the full upgrades, but they are deadly still. And they can take down TCs. And this is threatening now, and now he takes the initiative and the halberdiers will take care of the cavaliers, and the skirms are just not where they should be. So if you see the map control, at least a full half of the map is in Xylfit's favor. He goes for the raids, he does the eco damage, he does the damage to the cavaliers, and the Hun just never spread out sufficiently on the map. And those skirms, they slowly but surely will get overrun by the elite Huskarls, which they are now, and also getting the attack upgrade in, also getting ballistics in, which is an interesting choice actually. Ballistics for what? Probably just at the moment the only thing that profitates are the casters. So this is interesting, but now just spamming. And Barbarian, hey man, I'm sorry we casted your games already, but you were doing great. Congratulations already for advancing to the semi-finals. And you had a great series and it was very much fun to cast it. And now we are in the Xylfit versus King Mike series here. And it looks rough for King Mike, being really overrun by the Goth spam. And Xylfit, having already the 210 population always up, having at least 1000 of its resources. I call it now, this will be over in the next 5 minutes. You missed it, but look it up. I think the casting was fine. I think you will like to see it. And look it up, man. You had very interesting, very good games. So, I still call it, in the next 5 minutes, this will be over. Second castle coming up, traps coming up, the archery range is coming up. I don't know why archery ranges. Maybe it's a disrespect hand cannoneer that wants to come in. But why hand cannoneer? This would be like really... I can even counter you with the unit that you counter me actually with the skirms. I have so many resources, but I don't know. Maybe just some skirms if he feels the resources are running dry slowly, but actually they aren't. He is still in full control of a lot of extra resources. Another castle coming up by Xylfit, securing the southern region of the map, where 2 relics still lie untouched, and he really cuts off more and more of the map. Not using the northern gold here, but in the main spot doing great. The Hun's having the superior trap, but I think that resource-wise, King Mike is not doing so great. He is just having skirms in his queue, and it just won't cut it over time against the elite Huskarls, who still, I don't know. I know they don't get the last armor upgrade, but they are just wrecking through it. At the moment, he just gets the Huskar spam up there. This is over. I call it now. This game is officially over. Does he have Sapper? No, he doesn't have Sapper. I think it's just a disrespect. And this is the castle to get out of the game. And there is no gold anymore. The base is in shambles. There's below 100 pop. There are no resources. There's no production. And this is the first game for Xylfit, who could do exactly what he wanted to do. Well, resign. You said GG. Resign.
I love the villager attacking the market. It's good fun.
Yeah. It's really disrespect, like he knows this is over.
It's a Xylfit move, yeah.
It's a Xylfit move. He knows. Okay. So. Oh, don't resign? No, resign. You can resign again. In the end, I think several crucial mistakes led to that King Mike gave up his position.
First of all, Xylfit was 150 villages. That's pretty high.
Yeah. But he has 10 more pop.
Yeah, so 60 units. Still 150 is really, really high.
Yeah.
Alright, so what do you think about the match? Starting from the beginning.
I think King Mike did in the beginning really well. He tried to use the map, which shows that he has a lot of map awareness. He saw 3 goals in the front. I should pressure that. And he began really nicely. And I think Xylfit broke a sweat in that game. Because he saw the map. And there were several crucial things that actually let King Mike gave away his advantage. The first thing was actually a genius move by Xylfit. This blacksmith here saved Xylfit's eco a lot of hazard. And the second thing is a mistake that I also do: patience. Keep your crossbows there, deny him the gold, and you are actually doing a lot of damage already. Continue producing crossbows, send them to the wood, and you're actually already denying a lot of wood. If you then are earlier Castle Age, which he was, and you have some knights, then you have actually the ideal combo. Kill the mangonels, get in, get out, deny the gold further, drop a castle right there, and you're fine. And I think that this lack of aggression with the archers to get through the palisade walls in Feudal Age, and this lack of tactical patient move to the gold actually led to the demise. And then I think the skirmisher decision was another thing that was probably just not well thought through enough. I would have gone for a different combination. I would have gone probably Cav Archer Onager. That could have maybe been already enough. And later you can add maybe some stuff that can deal with the Huskarls additionally, like some light cav or something like that. Something that is a bit cheaper, because Onager Cav Archer is already quite heavy. But I think if you can keep him from gold, then and you can keep him from booming that hard, that is actually the key factors to win the game here for King Mike. What do you say? Do you agree? Do you not agree?
I totally agree with you. It was, to be honest, exactly the way I thought about how it will be. Xylfit just trying to get to Imperial Age, survive as long as he can, and then a massive Goth spam, because he just has the way better civilization for this position.
And there was a point when, like, everything he could do was produce a mangonel and a monk, and he didn't have access to any gold. So technically, the moment you keep him from that gold, he is dead. Or he at least has a very hard time, because he has to sell all his resources all the time. And from that point, get 1 or 2 knights in, get a mangonel in, and then you're good. Then you're Gucci, right? And there was just a little bit of impatience running the crossbows around, and the final straw was where, like, from that aggression, from the Castle Age advantage, was when the crossbows were cut off, and Cord were therefore always feared it in his game between a TC and a mangonel. And that was actually the part where then afterwards Xylfit could relieve a sigh, have a sigh relief, or a sigh of relief. That was the expression I was looking for. And actually just say, you know what, now I have this game in the bag. I can drop a castle in the front, I have the gold, I have the wood, I can boom, and then I just go for the Goth spam, and you can leave me alone. Okay, so military-wise, a lot of skirms in here, a lot of halberdiers in here, a lot of kills, a very bloody match. And actually the highest military was like the 60, as we said, but it was the constant spam and the constant reinforcement that after a while King Mike just couldn't deal with anymore. And he also just couldn't deal with the unit composition that was at hand. Food was a lot, obviously, as the Goths wanted. The wood and the stone, he also had more gold, a little bit more collected by King Mike. I also think King Mike just didn't take enough of the map, like his map play. He needs to reach out a bit more on the map, to use the advantage, to really get pressure, and to get the enforcements closer. Technology, map explored. That is Xylfit in a nutshell. He knows where the extra resources are. He knows where the relics are. He takes them up. Timeline, you see it. Cockroaching, stinging from time to time, and then flooding. Really interesting play, and really showcasing the Xylfit playstyle. And I still think King Mike has a chance. The admiration that comes out for Xylfit is also, like, he fails. Like, just some points that come right, and he fails those matches. And King Mike had a real shot. Like, here, look at the army. If he keeps this army alive, if he maybe places a tower, this game looks very different. So we don't count him out, and King Mike, I hope he comes back. Storming out of the gates. We are returning to the replays.
One of the most interesting timelines I've ever seen so far.
Yeah.
So much story behind it.
So we have a new game and King Mike's home map. And King Mike's home map is actually Golden Pit. And I can tell you already, this game, Civ-wise, is super interesting. So, I'm 2 seconds in. Starcard,
Yes.
are you 2 seconds in?
Me too.
Good. So, let's reveal. We have, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, I have to put in the win for Mr. Xylfit here. We are 1-0 Xylfit. We have already double Byzantines. Hello, DJ CJ3, the Strategos. We have 1-0 Xylfit. We are in the second matchup. And we have here King Mike versus Xylfit having a Byzantine mirror going on Golden Pit. Are you ready to cast it, Mr. Starcard?
I was born ready.
Oh, spawn ready, holy shit. The manlyhood. Okay, hey Blade. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. By the way, game rigged. Xylfit started with 10 more points. No, he was just slower with putting the villagers there. Okay. Byzantines, talk us through the civilization. Like,
Well, it's a pretty
advantages, yeah.
defensive civilization. You have the additional HP on your buildings. The higher you expand and the ages, the more HP your buildings have. They have a pretty good unit composition. All in all, they have decent archers with arbalists, cav archers, and hand cannoneers. They have pretty strong barracks with a champion and the halberdier. Also, they have the heavy camel rider, hussar, paladin. Actually, have almost everything. They're lacking the siege onager and blast furnace and a blacksmith.
Definitely being a very versatile civ. One of the most versatile civ next to the Chinese. Definitely. Maybe the Malians as well. So, this civ actually, and Bladesman, thank for the follow, man. And we have also the letter cost to Peerage. And basically, they are known also for 2 stuff. It is, while the 2 villagers here done a little DE pathing dance, they have the trash, the cheap trash going on next to the cataphract, which is one of the strongest, but also one of the most expensive units and unique units in the game. And now we have a mirror. That's interesting because here it really details matter. I don't really know why they chose Byzantines. I can imagine they chose Byzantines because even without gold, you are fairly fine and you have a very strong unit composition and a very cheap trash unit composition. and being very versatile in what you're doing. So he can adapt fairly well. But as we had hidden civilizations, I would be really interested in the reasoning behind this. Why would
Well,
they go?
I'm pretty sure I know
Byzantines?
why Xylfit went Byzantines. He told me before the matchup that if he's not allowed to go random, he will just go on highest DPI and just randomly choose a Civ with closed eyes.
Okay. What unit composition would I go for as the Byzantines? Honestly, with the Byzantines, it is... okay, I'm going to be very honest here. I'm not going to pretend I know more than I do. I got zero clue. Because I think what can be strong against most of what they have could be something like Arbalest and Capram. But in the end, you also need something against the skirmishers. So against the skirmishers, you might want to add something cheap, like light cav or something like that. But honestly, I'm really honest there. I don't know. Trash or fast imp, Bladesman says. I think it's mostly a trash war. But like you're so versatile that you can really cycle through the units. And I think with Byzantines more than with many other civilizations, it is actually a question of mind games. What do you think the enemy goes for? And of scouting, what do you think the enemy goes for that actually you should counter and already prepare the counter unit to get an advantage in this mirror civ? What do you think, Mr. Stargard?
Good question. I'm pretty sure Xylfit will just go for full trash in the end. That's probably the reason he picked Byzantines.
I also think it's a lot of trash
I'm
we
not
will
sure
see.
what he's going for.
Yeah. What do you say to the maps? We didn't talk maps.
Haven't even taken a look at the map.
Then let me
King
jump in.
Mike has
Yeah.
the forward gold this time.
Yeah.
Xylfit has the back gold for the first time.
Well, it's the second match, so.
Yeah, but the map he had before was.
Yeah, but it surely is a welcome change.
Yeah. It's like actually just the opposite way around.
Yeah. Well, but to be fair, like King Mike's gold, especially one gold, like it's wallable. It's okay.
You
but
would probably wall the second wall in. First one you have safe.
I still think Xylfit has the much more comfortable map. There's good wood lines that he can also securely take. In opposition to King Mike, where I don't agree with the house wall on the lower left side of his base. I think he should have walled a little bit further so that he at least has this one wood line more secure in case some distance units come in. And I still think he has the map where he has to invest more into actually walling it. So map-wise, I like Xylfit's map more.
Yeah, indeed.
So Xylfit going for 23 villages up, while King Mike going for the 20 villages up and being in feudal age already. But the barracks are not up, so this is just a slight timing issue here. And now I'm interested. What's going for? Is it archery range or is it? So, what is this accomplishing? Come on. Yes, now he has the wood. So slight issue there with the timing. And Xylfit being on 25 villages, going with the loom, going with the fast castle. And that sets actually some pressure on King Mike. Because Xylfit understands now, I think, that he just has the better map. He can wall this, and he's confident in the skill to hold against King Mike here with this map. And he thinks, well, I'm just going to wall, I'm just going to have knights while you are sitting on your trash or your scouts or your archers or whatever you're doing, and I'm going to crush every single bit of it. And what do you like more, Mr. Stark?
I think I would also do it just like Xylfit with
Yeah.
this map. Go for
Yeah.
Fast Castle for sure.
I also think so. I think
Yeah.
that Golden Pit is a map where still Fast Castle is the meta, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And you really need to scout whether your opponent is so open that you can actually justify a scout, go in scouts. And I think you cannot go in scouts here. If you go feudal, Angel says you need to go archer, and the extra HP walls, and like, or you have to go forward with towers and stuff, and you have to go full all in, and because you're like not confident in it. And I, at the moment, see King Mike actually at a big disadvantage. Like
Yeah.
Xylfit, from what I understand, from what I see, is like he lacks the building, he lacks the wood at the moment to go up immediately with the 26 wheels, but he goes for the blacksmith and needs a little bit more wood. I don't know whether I agree with the blacksmith here, or whether I actually think that the market would have been better, although it doesn't fit there very well. But still, like, I think with the market and the market abuse, you might have been a little bit better. Going also for the double bid X here, so staying a little bit longer in feudal than you actually might want.
Mike is coming with the scouts.
Yes.
So
Which time frame are you?
I am 12 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay, I'm 14 minutes. Let me just wait 14 minutes and 4, so just catch up,
Why
please.
is that I never paused?
I don't know, man. PC issue.
Alright, now I'm here.
Okay. And 14-4, we go in 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, and pointing out that we saw Daffo and Bavarian Barbarian with the archers here. With archers, you can actually braid Palisade walls much better. But if you don't have archers, that is actually an issue here. Just with scouts, that doesn't really cut it. And also Bavarian Barbarian did something. He went for the tower. He did go for the tower. And he aggressed. And he went through the Palisade wall. And that actually gave him the advantage there. But King Mike here, sitting on his scouts and having a good look at his house and actually doinking it all the way, it's just not doing any damage actually to Xylfit. He can comfortably now go into the castle edge, which he just did. While King Mike is still a little bit away of it. He's not too far away of it, but he's a little bit away of it. So the issues that Xylfit had, fortunately, with his build order, with not having the wood to actually build the buildings he needed, were the saving grace for King Mike, so that he still stays in the game and not being too far behind. Only 25% against Xylfit with the castle age, which is significant, but maybe not the very worst that you could possibly imagine. We have Xylfit here going with the double stable. Interesting what he wants to go for. If he wants to go for Camus against the expected knights, also go in for the upgrade with the horses with the armor. So what do you think? Do we see Camus with the cheaper Camus? I think that would be a decent call.
Separate. Yeah, for sure.
Expecting
25%.
Yeah.
That's,
Expecting also, yeah, and especially because also, like, he saw the scouts without upgrades, so there could be an easy switch into archers, but Camels he expects the knights or something, cavalry. Xylfit being up right now, and now we will know. Comes up with the second TC, and he goes with the double knight production in the beginning, because, well, it works against the scouts, and if he should discover the cameras, probably he goes with that. And I don't know, like, what I see now the second time from King Mike, he should probably use his scouts to run around the enemy base all the time to just see what he's up to, because that's what you want to know, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean,
And
for now, he's just wasted 3 times 80 food.
yes, exactly.
Not even for scouting.
Yeah, and you just need to run, at least use the scouts for scouting, and you have the constant two night production, but I really like now the move by King Mike to actually go camels because he has the counter unit then. And now he nicely finds the TC. Doesn't react yet. Hopefully he sees it. Come on, King Mike. You saw it. You run through. Yes, come on. Go back there. Put the Xylfit to work for his punters. Put the Xylfit to work for semi-finals. You have the camels being against the knights. You have the counter units there. And Xylfit doing the quick walls there to get the town center into the sweet gold spot. Being on 3 TCs against 1 TC and triple stable. So we have two different approaches there. We have to complete camel production against the 3 TC boom with some knights. Now also adding the camels by Xylfit to adapt there. And now sitting there, the only thing you can do in this situation is constantly produce the camels and hopefully that you have the bigger production and just do the eco damage. You have to get the eco damage in right now because you're already behind. And let's see whether he still has 100 stone. He gets the second town center up. I don't know whether I wouldn't have maybe put it. You have the superior army. Why not put it in the middle to secure the gold? Maybe that would have been the better call. And he loses camel for camel. Already the 5-2 kill count. You have the superior armies. Just take the fight. You have +1/+1 against 0 and +1. You have the superior army. Get in there. Damage his eco. Make him idle. And let him work for those semi-finals. And Xylfit actually being in a dicey situation there. He can turtle, he knows how to do that. But still, he has to do it, he has to pay attention. And he doesn't produce villagers, and that's the consequence of having to focus on so many different stuff. King Mike just lacking the wood eco at the moment, but having so much gold, the moment he has a market up, he could actually go for the 30C as well. You definitely do. But Bladesman, you can drop some knowledge. What would you do in King Mike's situation right here? Because we want the third game going. And yes, this is pre-recorded, so we cannot change anything anymore. But still, in King Mike's position, what would you do?
Would probably also add monks and siege in that situation. Probably good counter against camels.
Yeah, and you also have actually the cheaper barracks, so you see the double stable, and maybe it's a good adaptation to even go pikes and some monks. Just add in some pikes there, it doesn't cost so much. Boom a bit and take the middle. That's what Mr. Blade would suggest. And I think the same, like, you need a market here, and you need to buy yourself into this wood. To this wood, and to have actually more TCs. When we compare, King Mike actually has the villager lead. So the eco damage that he did there, the attention that he drew from Xylfit, pays off still. So he is in the eco lead and shouldn't be written off quite yet. Although we know the late game of Xylfit is really good. And is that a hole in the very north? Did he overchop? Did King Mike overchop there and the knight could get in? Like, I'm not quite sure. I don't see a tree behind. I think it's open. I think in the very north, like in the left of the first TC.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's open now.
It is.
It's not 3 TC to 3 TC, it's 3 TC to 2 TC at the moment. That's why I say, King Mike floods gold. I think some nerves are getting to him. I think he doesn't have the right eco balance. He feels the pressure. He knows, my enemy's on 3 TC. I need to do pressure. I need to pressure. And he is starting to waste a little bit his camels. And so that his enemy doesn't need much defense to actually defend it. And still there is not much damage taken. And on the other side, his enemy can actually go forward and gets raids in himself. That's a position you don't want to be in.
Yeah, no, he's catched inside. Xylfit just completed
Yeah.
the wall again.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the prison here.
Yeah, so this prisoning the camels inside here is devastating. Now there's no army on the map. And that's just a genius masterpiece, honestly. That's Xylfit really, really shining very well. And being the cheeky joker that he is there, the Harlequin of Age of Empires, he is knocking on King Mike's door. And King Mike definitely feeling the pressure, being not in the middle, and also now losing the military advantage on the map is absolutely devastating. Being also constantly housed just adds to the pressure, and I think King Mike showing some nerves there. You say diving up, but you like the enemy also has some camels here. I think with Xylfit having some camels here and the TC being there, those camels are actually not really doing anything anymore. There was a time when, like, King Mike again could have done basically what he wanted, I think, but he didn't really use the opportunity there. And again, giving Xylfit the map control, and Xylfit standing around there and being like, well, you can run around, I don't really care. So now he goes forward, and now this is the castle drop that might be the thing that he wants. And Xylfit is a bit greedy here, and that is maybe some of the things. Like, he can become overconfident. And I don't like the defensiveness of this castle. I would have set it a little bit more forward. And let's check, actually. Let's make it a little bit educating to go for Xylfit and see what he sees. Like, if you could do it here. But, oh, actually he did it. When you see it like this, he did it perfect. Because, like, the camels are just passing. So let's check resources. Xylfit is really low on resources, and King Mike is much more up. He could actually buy his way easily up to Imperial Age. And with having the castle and being up to Imperial Age and getting a tramp out there, suddenly the middle doesn't seem so secure anymore for Xylfit. And suddenly this game take a whole nother turn with taking the gold. But gold is actually not the issue. It's actually the eco balance, where he should just add something like, honestly, 20 farms right away. Or add a lot of siege and monks, because his eco is just set up for that perfectly. And I don't think that with some pikes in addition to that, Xylfit in that moment would be standing that very easily.
King Mike just wasted the camels inside Xylfit's base. Would have done
Well,
way more damage on the wood line there.
Yeah. To be honest, I think those camels kept to be alive quite a lot. And I think he did the most that he could with it. There was not anything he could have done anymore. They were dead the moment they got caught in there. But Xylfit went in there and took quite a little bit of damage to King Mike's eco. King Mike now being 10 villages behind Xylfit. Actually, I would have even expected Xylfit to have a bigger lead in after having 4 town centers to 2 a while, and now just 4 town centers to 3. But still, it's a significant lead. And this is also now Xylfit. And this is a habit that King Mike should definitely stop. This bell ringing hurts him so much, and he just needs to add production buildings. He should take a lesson from me, because I also don't do that, and you should learn from people who really don't have a clue and don't do it yourself. So this is something where he could easily improve his game, and this is also something that you tend to run into at Golden Pit. You just have so much gold, but what do you do with it? All right. But what I really like is that we have a real game at hand. Like, I wouldn't say that Xylfit is in any way through. I wouldn't say that Xylfit is in any way has won the game. But what I see is that in a little bit southeast of the pit, he starts to add barracks and he prepares the pike switch, which, if unprepared for that, will be absolutely devastating because there are no cataphracts out, and cataphracts can deal extremely well. But what I also see is I see 10-20 villagers come into gold when King Mike has still 1,000 gold in the bank and he struggles for food, not for gold. So this is a constant issue that King Mike should definitely fix in the next game if he should win this. Exactly, Barbarian. Build a market. That is probably the most important building that King Mike should have built there. King Mike, very well aware of the Xylfit cheese here. Xylfit's just sending the 4 cameras around, trying to get a maximum use out of it. But there's a palisade wall, there's a palisade wall. So King Mike is walled still there, and that is a good thing, because Xylfit, being the cockroach mosquito that he is, wants to go on your nerves. More stables, I don't necessarily agree with that, because by now you need to diversify a little bit your combination. But I definitely agree with going to the Imperial Age, and I agree also with Xylfit going into the Castle Age, and you shouldn't go that heavily into Camus anymore when you don't see that he goes heavily into Camus or into Knights himself. But you should start to think about the counter.
They are the pikey boys already, he just did the upgrades for them.
Exactly.
Reducing out of 5 barracks.
Yeah. And looking onto Xylfit's eco, Xylfit has a far more healthy eco for the pikes. He has 41 on food, he has 30 on wood, he has 18 on gold, so he can add some good gold units a little bit later, but he can still add just a lot of pikemen, and he has 4 production buildings for the pikemen, 6 production buildings for the camas, and I just see like 6 production buildings for the camas on King Mike's side. But what I also see on the north of the pit are some archery ranges, and I think he wants to go for skirmishers, and I definitely don't agree with that. And I hope he actually wants to go for arbalists and not for skirmishers, because skirmishers are just the choice in the trash war, in my opinion, against camas, but not necessarily when they are here in the fight like this. What I also see is there's fletching for the castle of Xylfit, but there is no fletching and the castles for King Mike. So the fletching and those upgrades are also something that Xylfit is just ahead, and also just thinking a little bit ahead, because this +1 range, this +1 damage can actually come in quite handy, especially against the camas and the camas armor. And now Xylfit does what he does very well. He says, well, there's 2 castles, he is Imperial Age, and I just cannot fight there. So you know what? I go around and hit you where it hurts. And this is your main base. Also adding some siege workshops, adding the second castle. Xylfit's ego is just humming, in my opinion. He has 115 to 96 wills. Getting trapped there a little bit, but this will take time. Time that will that Xylfit will use for catching up in Imperial Age. And I think just getting the better unit composition. Yes, there is the skirmishers. Yes, skirmishers are cheap. But I would actually like to see, especially when you have so much gold, why you don't go for the Arbalists. Arbalists kill everything your enemy has. You went for the Heavy Camel Rider. I also don't necessarily agree with that. But yeah, okay, I mean, you're set up with that already, and you kind of have to. And I even would say you could go some cutters with the setup of that army to counter nearly everything, like also everything that Xylfit has. And the moment you release 20 cutters, you actually devastate what Xylfit has. Xylfit doing the armor upgrade, doing the botgun arrow, doing the helps, and just preparing for the composition that he wants to go for, and having just 120 wills against 97. So King Mike again in Imperial Age stopped the villager production and still has stopped it, and that will cost him in the end dearly. Xylfit again spreading also out on the map, so you clearly see style differences. Xylfit pressuring on that one point where, no, King Mike pressuring on that one point where Xylfit is holding. And that's everything he needs to do. He needs to hold. And those Byzantine castles, they pack a punch before they go down. They definitely do. And even if you go through there, it's a slow advancement. It's a slow advancement. On the other side, if you really should lose one time in the middle, it's really hard to get your gold up again. And Xylfit is struggling for that gold. He just has 10 on gold in theory, but practically he doesn't. So it's really interesting. Is it to spread it around, or is it to actually get the gold in the middle? And nobody yet has collected the relics, so that's a point where relics you can't see it right here, unfortunately, with the overlay. I asked Capture Age, but I said, well, you know, to make yourself personally an overlay would be maybe a little bit expensive for a 25 euro tournament right there. But yeah, Xylfit, he is a little bit desperate and a little bit struggling for gold, so he cannot ignore the middle completely. And I would be really interested, he is preparing Scorpions against the Camels and the middle idea already, just to, I think, annoy also. But King Mike stays in there and reigning in the middle. And if you watch at King Mike's resources, holy moly. King Mike, click your castles, produce 40 cutters, and please end the game. He has a lot of... He has the game in his hand. King Mike, if he just does it correctly, will crush Xylfit in that moment. And it all depends whether he just has the cool head now to think like, I don't want to throw what are cutters actually doing, and to just use those resources, because those resources could really win him the game. Conquering the middle, setting Xylfit really under pressure. Xylfit struggling here, and I like it.
Shot there?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
What
It
did
was
what
one
did
shot and 8 skirmishes, like perfectly through the middle.
Yeah, the Scorpions do their work, and why not stopping? The Camel are a counter unit to Knights. The Camels are horrible against Halberdiers. The Camels are horrible against... they're really bad against Scorpions. They are not good against anything that Xylfit has at the moment. So stop it and use your resources for something useful. Even go Cavaliers, goddammit. Or even... I don't know. But
I really don't get why he's slaughtering his camels like that, sending them into the fight. For example, Knights, they can at least do a bit damage against pikes.
Yeah.
But
And
camels,
you can...
they just get slaughtered.
Yeah, and you just go around and stuff like that. Like, don't get slaughtered like this. Like, or you can go raiding with Knights. With Camels, like, Camels is just the wrong unit choice. And those Camels cost him the game. As much as the Skirmishers cost him the last game. It's a question of unit composition right here. He does well. He can get Xylfit. Let's look at Xylfit resources. Xylfit has no gold. He has no food. He just has wood. And he just has 820 stone. But he has a vivid food farming eco. But I think for what he wants to go for, he goes heavy camels. I don't know. Heavy camels? I think in his... Well, it's cheap. It's cheap. But, hey, becoming the best, how is it going? Welcome to the stream. We have Xylfit versus King Mike. Xylfit is leading, and King Mike is, at the moment, doing a really good job at calming back here. And I agree with what he does now. He goes mangonels. That is the right call. Mangonels and pikes will cut it, and helps will cut it really well. And this cast is also... I don't necessarily agree with that castle, I have to say. You have to constantly repair it. And look how he is like flooding around the pit, Xylfit, with taking the map control. And what I really don't like, somebody should have gone one monk and collected all the relics. And it should have been Xylfit already. But I really like those mangonels coming in right now. And he also goes guilds. And this is Xylfit. I love that guild tech. That guild tech is probably saving him the late game because he can just sell those resources so much more effectively. And this guild tech is really showing that the late game prowess of Xylfit. We already casted Becoming the Best. The first Defo versus Bavarian Barbarian. It was a great series and ended 2-1 for Bavarian Barbarian. But now we are here and hoping for a third game as well. And honestly, it looks still like it could happen. I don't like the castle. I don't like that King Mike is just going in that one point in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I was just want to say it. He's copying my strategy. It's not allowed. Just go at one point.
Yes.
And completely ignoring everything around. I mean, can
Yeah.
you even see it that there is Xylfit taking the wood?
Let's see what he
so
does.
close to his archery.
Yes, he sees it even, and he has two cameras that can just go there, and he has so much
Town
food.
free,
Like, just do some lightcraft and
all
run
that.
into his base. And Xylfit will struggle so
Everything
much.
is unsecured there. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I will ever play against Xylfit, I will annoy the hell out of him. I want him to rage quit. Sorry,
So
that was
actual
just
every day.
something personal that he did to me in my childhood, but we don't talk about this here. So, oh yeah, I like, and the mangonel, honestly, this one mangonel takes at the moment, it takes him back the game. Like, this mangonel, the skirmisher halberdier composition is super good. And those mangonels were the best call that Xylfit also did all game. Because Xylfit didn't play ideal, his cameras didn't do very much, he lost the middle, and it's really hard for him to get at the moment back into the game. But it is still, he added a ton of production buildings, he still has a very solid eco with 120 against 100, and it comes really to pay now that King Mike never actually got to his 120 vills, 130 vills that he should have, and he underboomed. And that is something, that is the difference between 1200 elo and 1314, higher 1300 and 1400 elo. You learn that you definitely should boom up there, and it makes a big difference. And yeah, Xylfit is taking back the middle. He takes him off gold. He goes with a castle there. He still has 2 disrespect farms in the middle. To just say, I could even farm for wood here, for gold, for food here that I don't even need. And he has a very, very healthy wood and food count, and he comes back onto the gold, and that will be, I think, the ending of this game. Because if you look at the puntos, if you look at the population, King Mike is down to 80 population against 200, and it is again, Xylfit didn't ignore the rest of the map, while King Mike was just in a minute. We got 20 viewers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. If you didn't hit the follow button, I'm sure you'll find it because you've been asking that for at every stream for that. So that would be very nice, because I also want to get to the 50 follower mark. And I think this tournament also deserves it because King Mike, Xylfit, Dafon, Barbarian did an awesome show until now. And honestly, this was awesome. Xylfit really doing a solid game, and she looks like someone who is really a potential finalist. But honestly, going up against Barbarian is something that he will be challenged at. I'm very sure, because I saw that Barbarian knows how to end the game. Barbarian knows very straightforward. It showed on the arena game with the Burmese. It showed on the Golden Pit that Barbarian knows how to pressure and knows also how to spread out and when to take fights. That is something that could challenge Xylfit with the turtling style that he got through here quite a little bit. So Xylfit did a very good job. I think King Mike, first, huge credit to King Mike. Xylfit is an awesome player. He's really well. He's one of the best players in the tournament, definitely. And King Mike gave him a run for his money. Especially that second game was a game where I had a feeling for a good amount of time that King Mike was actually in a place, and look at his resources still. He was in a place where he really could have done something. And there were two big points that actually King Mike lost the game. It was first the unit composition that could have been more ideal, and then it was second the production buildings that if he would have just added that, he could have overrun Xylfit, definitely. So in both games, I think, he definitely had a shot. And if he just fixes those two things, he can definitely take also Xylfit and other players online. And he's a great player. And he also is a streamer. Check out Search for King Mike 101. And maybe if somebody is nice enough to search the stream here, then we can actually post the streams of the guys, because this is an intermediate streamer tournament, and Xylfit and like just a very few people are not streaming in this tournament. It's actually just 2, and everyone else is streaming. And this is also, of course, to promote their channel, and King Mike did a very good job with that. And so did Dafo, and so did Barbarian, to show that those are people who take it serious and people who give very good show, and who have also, of course, decent weaknesses that you can put out. But I think this is also shining a light there, and although it hurts to be out of the tournament after the first round, King Mike 101 shouldn't be sad. He did very well. Stargard, say some final words.
Just as the game before, that was impressive game, impressive matchup. Xylfit and his map control and all the things he micro at one point, it's impressive. I kind of thought that Xylfit would win, but still were some pretty impressive, entertaining games, for sure.
So we had in between, everyone had in the end 3 castles. Xylfit, like, this was 20 more villagers, and there was... Is he on it? Yeah, I think we wrap up this second series by seeing that Xylfit won against King Mike 1-on-1, and well deserved so. Xylfit played great. He was always cool-headed. He knew what he wanted to go for. He had a plan. And in the second game, I think King Mike got quite much to his final form, gave Xylfit a run for his money, but in the end, he was very aware of the map and could pull the strings enough in the game to actually reign superior in the end. Guys, we are already at half time. I'm going to make a 15-minute break because this is definitely drawing some energy. We are going to continue with the new matchup, which will be the mighty Hookah, who is also in the chat, who agreed, fortunately, to play in the tournament as well. And he played Mr. Microdynamics, who's also a streamer. Take the time, go and check his channel out. And I'm going to make a little pause where I'm going to eat something. I'm going to drink something and going to relax my voice a little bit. And we see each other in like 10 to 15 minutes. And until then, I hope you stay tuned, get something to eat, and then it continues with the next great matchup.
It was very fun. Thanks for having me.
Yes, Mr. Starkard, we say goodbye. Thank you very much for the co-casting. It was very insightful. And
it was very much fun indeed.
Also, Starkard is a streamer. Check out his stream as well. And we are going to have a new co-caster for the next 2 matches. which is going to be Angel Faust, who is already probably warming up his voice and with some vodka or whatever he uses. And will enjoy also the next one. And thank you again, Starkart, and I wish you a very nice evening. And we see each other maybe in the next tournament when you're ready to participate in the next IST Intermediate Streamer Tournament.
Well, I think we see each other tomorrow as well, but also hopefully in the next tournament.
Exactly. Well, but tomorrow, not as cast, unfortunately, but glad that you
maybe
keep around.
after that.
Exactly. Perfect.
See you.
See you then. So guys, I'm going to play some epic music and a little bit of pause, and we are seeing each other back at 17:45.